Or coffee.
Stop being scared.
What's up? Welcome to the 125th episode of Kramer and Jess Uncensored. If you are new to this, you got to know that like you're walking in and making a commitment. You know, like how you enter into Disneyland or something, and it's like, know that by entering, you're agreeing to like these terms and conditions that we can use your photographs and whatever safety issues.
AI can copy your identity.
Yep.
All of it.
That's basically what's happening here too. We're gonna copy your identity for being a part of this show.
No.
What are you? What's our agreement, Jess?
It's like the close friends feature on Instagram. So you are open with a certain few people in your life, and that's how the Uncensored podcast is.
Yep. So if you're gonna be here, shh. Just be cool. You can't even like really reference this stuff. You're allowed to come into the. Is that fair? The rules is you can come into the DMs and talk about it.
Yeah.
But don't be posting about this stuff publicly because like we
or
feel like
don't like share like if we're talking about someone specifically.
Yes.
You know, don't be like this is what was going on.
Right. Don't do that. Just know if you're here, you got to be cool. Okay.
Yeah.
What's up to Erica? Good morning. Thank you for joining the show. Tina, you is here as well. And look who is here. My mom is hopping in.
No. Nice.
You know what sucks is like
we need to talk about this because I literally had Nancy. I feel like I'm just talking to her now. At this point, nobody else matters. I literally got DMs about what happened with like your text message and Kramer and like last episode and his response and everything. They were like, we need to talk about this. And like, what? We should call her.
You want to call her? Mom, we're going to call you in a couple seconds to kind of catch up on that.
Look at her face.
I know.
Yeah.
Just looking all happy down here. We'll talk to my mom in a second. Isabel, good morning. By the way, if you're wondering who the hell we're talking to, we do a show live on YouTube as well on when we do the show, which is like Wednesdays at about it's 10:43 right now, between 10:45 and 11 typically Eastern time.
What should we call? I feel like we need a code word for because I can't just like freely say masturbation.
Well, you just did.
Like when she's on the phone.
Happy time.
I don't want to say it. You know, private time.
Do you want me to ask the question?
No, I just don't want us to say it when we're speaking to her on the phone.
Panama City, when I was there, and with Holly Miguel, we were like wild as hell. So we talk about jerking off all the time. We would always say like adult time, or no, not adult time is sex.
Yeah.
Self time. What would we call that? It was
alone
personal time.
Personal time.
Having personal time. Is how we refer to it. I just
don't want to say it when she's on the phone because that's just disrespectful.
If you're wondering what we're talking about, is we last week we let you know that my mom is coming into town, right, for about 10 days.
Is this uncomfortable because she's watching now?
And now she's watching it because she really, honestly, so my mom wakes up and just hangs out the house all morning because there's really nothing else to do. All right,
well, she should come here.
She can come tomorrow.
The whole time?
Probably not all the time, but probably. At some point, she'll roll in.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's very
really happy.
Not specific to. So my mom just like hangs out. So yeah, she has nothing to do but just obviously watch our live right now. So last week we were talking about how I don't know how to handle, and it's actually I think was a pretty decent conversation because if it's by yourself or it's with a partner, how do you handle sexuality when it comes to like your parents being in your home? Like, do you have any kind of like strict policy when it comes to you being intimate with your partner, you being intimate with yourself? Because that was my thing. It's like, I don't know if I can go 10 days without jerking off.
Personal time.
I gotta get used to it. Personal time. Everybody use the right words, the Nancy words. Personal time without like doing that. But like, is that weird or disrespectful?
And I was very upset because I just don't think it's okay.
If I do,
when she's in the house.
If you weren't listening to or following us on Instagram, is that the day that she came, which was Friday, she sent me a text.
Yeah.
And it basically said like, hey, I listened to the podcast.
I'll read it.
You have it? Basically, it was like, I listened to the podcast and like, what you do in your room is your own business or something like that. So, and like, which by the way, this should not be such an awkward conversation, but it is.
In an effort too, to like have her not, did you send it to both me and Tom?
I don't remember. Here, I can pull it up. Hang on.
So in an effort to because obviously when we post the podcast, we post like a little snippet on our Instagram story so you guys can hear like a little teaser and know what the episode is about. And so we had specifically hid it from her on all accounts, even on mine. Like because when I didn't want her to see it or anything like that. So we thought we were in the clear because I also was under the impression that she didn't listen to the Uncensored podcast anymore because of how like inappropriate it can get sometimes.
At one point we had talked about something, and I remember my mom saying
it was masturbating.
Was it masturbation?
And that's why she stopped. So we were like, okay, we're gonna post this online. We're gonna hide it from her, and like so she doesn't see it. And then she sends you this message.
So she says, "Good. This is 6:20 a.m. Friday morning." She says, "Good morning, up and at 'em, heading to Baltimore. Get a good nap today and get ready. I'm coming to share, but not invade your space for a while. And by the way, what you do in the privacy of your bedroom is up to you. Yeah, I listened to K&J this week. Couldn't resist with a scary title, which was called MOMsturbation, by the way."
There's 16. There are 16 heart emojis included in this text.
How many laugh emojis and how many
1, 2, 3,
heart
4,
face?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 laugh cry, and then heart cute faces are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So, I mean, to be fair, we did give one good suggestion of hiding it was to do it in the shower.
Well, yeah, so I got some.
I said one. The other one was not good. The other one was not good.
You know what I got the most feedback on was like, please don't masturbate in your car. I think that's most of the feedback. Hassan said, like, just go in your car and jerk off. And I'm like,
which is like, that's how he's going to get arrested.
We're
going to get shut down. We're going to get shut down.
Y'all, I've done so much weird shit and wild shit in my radio career. Like, I do not want to be the guy that goes down by masturbating in his car. Okay, so what do we want to talk before we get her on? Let's get like, let's get a game plan here. What's the purpose of this phone call? To see how it feels? Or
I guess like I want to ask her
how she found out
why she's listening, when she started listening again, and like how she felt
stop listening.
How she felt hearing that from you, and how she is currently feeling. I'll ask her.
I know my mom's phone number. Do you know your parents' phone number?
By heart?
Yeah.
Just my mom and my dad.
I don't know why I still know her phone number.
My emergency contact just in case I get locked up.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
I don't even know why do I still know that? I don't even know. I'm not sure.
No, not unknown caller. I know exactly who this is.
Hey.
Hi, guys.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm making my protein shake.
Okay. Well, we won't keep it too long. Jess has some questions you'd like to ask you.
Yeah. First of all, when did you start listening to the Uncensored podcast again? Because I thought you stopped.
You know, I just listened to it randomly.
Okay.
But when I saw that title come up on my, on my podcast thing, I was like, oh no.
If it had mom in it, you knew you were in trouble.
No.
Okay, so
I better listen.
Did you listen to the entire episode?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
okay.
So all of it. Every last word.
And how did that make you feel listening to your son talk about private time when you were there?
Well, first of all, that's a perfectly normal thing to do.
Look at that. Yes. There's Nancy Yancey right there.
And secondly, I am invasive when I'm here. I mean, like I go through and I clean out his closet.
She does.
And I fold his clothes in his drawer.
Is that what you think is invasive? That's what you guys say is invasive?
I don't. The problem is like she like goes into like I just have to be mentally prepared. My mom's that anything is free reign in my apartment. Like she will go through, which is fine. But I just have to be mentally prepared for that in case there is anything
for you to go through stuff
that like I wouldn't want her to know about my life is now not an option.
Hidden somewhere.
Right.
Because she'll probably find it.
Correct. So that's kind of like which is fine because I do like when she like does stuff for me. So that's cool. But I just have to mentally know that like anything is free game, right? So mom, see, here's my question. Say again?
I said you just have to hide your private stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I know
like,
better now.
Case or something, I won't go.
Here is, I guarantee you though that this is the biggest fear of mine when it comes to the alone time, the personal time that we're talking about here, is that my mom is the kind of person like she'll knock twice and walk right in. You know what I mean? So she'll be like, "Hey, you busy?" They like walk right in. I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like so I have to be like mentally prepared. That could also happen at any time. And I feel like you've gotten better about it. But I remember a couple times in San Diego where like all of a sudden she would just like knock and walk right in. I'd be like, "Oh shit!" So like mentally, I have to be prepared for that. Now she'll text me. Like now she'll like because I think probably this topic has come up enough where she's like,
she's afraid.
I don't want to know what I'm walking into with this.
She's like, I am 500 feet away from. No, she's like downstairs. She's like walking downstairs before she even gets in. I have arrived to the premises.
Just let you know what I'm doing, where I am. Don't need to run into each other. Okay, well, mom, answer this question. I've always wondered this too because obviously, Jess and I we don't really care about talking about our lives, and it doesn't really phase us in the least, right? Like we can talk about all masturbation. We can talk about, sorry, Jess, we can talk about who we're dating, what we're doing with them, all the dumb decisions we make, everything, right? But I wonder how it must, because my mom and my dad, you know, my mom was a preacher in the church. You got to keep that in mind, right?
Yeah.
So like has a pretty conservative group of people around her. Like they see her as like this holy woman, right?
Yeah. And
So,
then your podcast is called MOMsturbation.
so then like they find out that her son is talking about like masturbating while mom is in town.
Yeah.
Do you ever like, does that bother you, or how does that make you feel when like, you know, that we, especially like with this podcast, and I would say the radio content has calmed down a lot, but when it comes to podcast, do you ever like when you listen to stuff, are you like, holy shit, like you're totally ruining my reputation, or I feel uncomfortable because you're talking about this kind of stuff?
I mean, no, this is your business. It's not mine. You have your life. I have mine. And I doubt that anyone I know listens to Uncensored.
You don't think so?
Our family members don't, because they're afraid of it.
Yeah.
So
is there anything that's ever made you feel uncomfortable?
I mean, no, because that's who he is, and I'm proud of who he is. I love who he is.
Thank you.
And you know, it's fine. Do you?
Yeah. Do you wish I was a doctor though instead or something?
Do you, literally?
Yes.
Not Jess's face.
Oh, she
Not
is
Jess's face.
so red.
That took her a second. Oh my God.
Why am I crying?
You literally.
I don't like that.
That was amazing.
Why am I crying?
Wow, that was an unexpected joke, Mom. That was unexpected. That was very,
That was a
very
good one.
nice. Y'all see where I get it from?
Yeah.
Y'all think that like you're like, where did you get it from?
Crying.
It's not me. I was raised in this, obviously.
No,
Look at this-
she's way funnier than you.
Look
Yeah,
at this
she
crude
is.
humor. This crude humor came from my mom, not from me, man. Y'all think she's all sweet and innocent? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else for my mom while she's on? Are we good?
I think we're good. We're gonna see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait.
What time is she getting here?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Not early.
Yeah, not too early.
Okay.
Why? Beer 5.
No. Not a morning person.
Yeah.
I'm still in my PJs, having my protein shake, sitting outside, just chilling.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out. All right,
Of course,
Mom.
I cleaned out the sock drawer this morning, I have to say.
You cleaned out the sock drawer.
Yes, I matched all your socks.
Hassan, why does everybody's face look creepy right now? What do y'all like? What's the problem? Y'all think there's something in there?
No, you guys.
You know
this is
me.
your-
Yeah.
See?
Wait,
I mean, talk about intrusive.
that's what I'm talking about. I know
Just
better.
saying.
I know better. All right, Mom. I love you.
Okay, love you guys.
All right.
Love you.
Have a good one.
Bye. What's in your sock drawer right now that would be so bad? Is there anything that like is in your possession right now in your house that like you'd have to worry about? Because luckily,
Not anymore.
the only thing that I
No?
have right now is condoms, and I'm sure she's seen them. But
I
also,
feel like that's not like a bad thing either.
That's what
No.
I'm saying. No.
Yeah.
like
It's condoms and lube.
I feel like that wouldn't be like a scary thing
No,
to see.
no.
Yeah. Like a dildo is a scary thing.
that
to
would be
see.
a lot.
for,
That would
for
like
her to. I don't want her to see that.
that would have to be a lot.
I don't
'Cause
think
see,
anyone wants to see a dildo that's not theirs. You know what I
in
mean?
my
Especially
Like a-
in his
used-
house,
like a
there's some
used-
questions we have to talk about.
Yeah.
What's okay? Let's play a little game here. We're gonna play and think about your answer for a second. We're gonna play what's the worst dildo scenario? Okay, what's the worst dildo scenario? And and everybody think of your answer. If you had to find anybody's dildo,
whose do I not want to see?
like who would be the absolute most horrifying of anybody in the world? Like it
Yeah.
can be any it could be a family member, it can be somebody in your life, it could be a political figure, whatever, celebrity, like it doesn't matter. Everything's on limits, and YouTube, you can play this show as well. We're playing a game called Dildo Worst Case Scenario.
So wait, is it the person and location or just the person?
No, just the person.
Just the person.
Just the
Okay.
person, okay? So
Yeah.
and they're not using it. We're not talking about walking in. It's just like you walk into this person's room and you see that
but
they
you know it's used.
because Jess makes a good point. It doesn't matter who it is, it would be uncomfortable to find anyone's
You're like, I know where
sex
that
toy.
goes.
Yeah, right. It would be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
All right, so let's play a dildo worst case scenario. Jess, you want to go first?
I just don't want to see a dildo that like belongs to my parents.
So
together.
you think mom dad situation would be the worst?
Yeah, and not even like it's like something that they do together.
Yeah.
It's way like if I were to find if it's like my mom's or something, you're like I'd be like yeah, like live your life, obviously, and obviously yeah, live your life. You guys are obviously a couple and not
Sure.
just my parents.
And they honestly, we should be happy about that.
No, I'm happy.
You know,
for them. But I don't want to see it. I think I would just hate to see it if it was like presented somewhere on like a velvet pillow and it was just it's like
Can you imagine?
in like a really nice scary looking case or something.
I think I want it not to be in a case.
It's like all elaborate.
No, right, huge. No, I think okay. Mom is definitely up there. Parents combined, like a combined thing.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
Isabel said I wouldn't want to see my mom. Hassan, can you think of a worse case scenario than a mom or parent scenario?
I don't. Y'all just did the safe ones. I'm gonna do a wild one. Okay. I don't want to see.
But that's not safe. Like that would be traumatizing.
It would be very
traumatizing. Personally,
yeah,
that traumatizes me.
But I'm going way extreme with this one. I don't want to see the Obamas with a dildo.
Yeah,
I'm doing super extreme.
Okay,
I don't want to see the Obamas with a dildo.
That's true. That's true. Now think about that for a second.
Why does that make me happy? And for my parents, it makes me uncomfortable.
Imagine though, let's just them.
Yeah.
Other presidents, sure.
Yeah.
The Bushes, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton, you better have one.
Yeah.
It's just the Obama specifically.
Yeah.
I don't want them.
Yeah. So you're like, give me your summer playlist. Like, let me see it. But
let me see the book read.
Yeah.
What's the best movies to watch?
Absolutely.
From the Obamas, yes.
Yeah.
The other presidents, who care?
Yeah.
But the Obamas, because we hold them high esteem.
It's true. It's true.
I don't want to see them.
Now imagine like you're invited to let's imagine we're in the administration of the Obamas and you get a tour of the White House and for some reason
it's in the Oval Office.
Yeah, and like you like you're alone and like let's say their bedroom, you're alone for some reason. You're like, I'm gonna take this opportunity to like snoop around and like you see this giant double-sided dildo.
Yeah, it would actually be a lot.
I think that might be worse. Is that worse than your parents though?
Not me.
To know that like it's something freaky as hell too. It's like the freakiest dildo.
But then I'd be like, oh my God, Obama is packing. But then at the same time, I'm like, I didn't want to know that.
No.
I didn't need to know that.
I think your grandparents would be worse than your parents. You don't think so?
Not for me.
I think that like all my grandparents have passed, but I'm trying to think of Granny Yancey, my dad's grandma. Like if I was like, let's imagine like she had passed away and like I was going through her stuff.
I don't like this conversation.
And then I found like a giant dildo.
Yeah.
That would make me more uncomfortable than my actual mom, I think great. So, but for you, grandparent wouldn't be as bad.
No.
Why?
I don't know why. I just don't wanna like see it from my parents.
Isabel makes a great point too that we aren't able to speak on. She said her daughters would be awkward. So what do you think is more awkward? Do you think it's more awkward for a kid to find their parent's sex toy or a parent to find their kid's sex toy?
I feel like it would be kid because as a parent, even if you are uncomfortable, you still get to play that card of like, listen, sweetie, like, let's talk about this. I just want to make sure that you're educated and you're being safe.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you can like definitely direct that conversation. Like with the kid, you see it and you have to hold in that secret till you die. You're not going to be like, hey, mom and dad, look what I found.
No, you
like,
never.
You know what
never
I mean?
say a word.
No.
But here's the problem is like if your kid is, let's say your kid's 16, 17, 18, 19. Again, this is a sex toy.
Yeah.
Not like a condom or something. So you wouldn't be able to like if they were like 7 and you found a condom, that'd be one thing. But like finding like sorry, but I'm just saying, like if it was about like the birds and the bees, it'd be a different conversation.
True.
With a sex toy, there's no real danger there.
No.
But like, would you say something to your kid? Like Isabel, since there's no parent on the show, if you found
Poor
your
Isabel.
kids,
She's like, I didn't sign up for this.
she's like, I'm signing off now.
Yeah.
Isabel, if you found your daughter's sex toy, and I don't know how old your daughter is, and I could actually change the question too, which is if you found it, would you say something to her or not? Because I'm trying to think as a parent.
I don't know if I would say anything.
Like, would I say something?
Depending on the age, I would.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like if they're
what's the cutoff?
But like if they're in high school, we need to have that conversation. Because let's face it, 18 years old. Yeah, I'm still having that conversation.
You still gonna say it?
Yeah, because let's face it, kids are having sex in high school.
Yeah.
So I
probably.
feel like in high school, if it's the high school age, we need to have that conversation just to make sure, do you know what you're doing? Is everything okay?
Or
Okay.
other
So,
or
like-
are there things going on? Obviously,
Right.
if you felt comfortable to get this,
Right.
yeah.
I think if it was over 16, I wouldn't say anything. 16, 17, 18, I don't think I'd say anything. I think that like at that point, like I don't know. They just, again, I think as a father, now imagine as a father, that may be the absolute worst case scenario. We haven't thought through that.
Oh, if you have a
Father,
for a
daughter finds sex toy. That would be uncomfortable. And imagine, because people would be like, oh,
I wouldn't be out because if she gets the strap, that means she's doing people. I'm like, you better do these girls or boys like you supposed to.
you're on
You
fire.
better be dominant. I'm sorry.
Crazy. I really don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do in that situation. I'm just
'Cause
gonna have to cross
imagine-
that bridge
yeah.
when I get there. I really
Imagine-
don't know.
I think honestly that may be, and tell me if I'm wrong, that may be actually the worst situation would be your opposite sex child may be the most uncomfortable.
I just hope that that if I am in that situation, I will have a relationship to where like it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be like weird to bring that up. Like I never was able to or like comfortably openly talk about sex with my parents. And so I feel like that also dictated like how I behaved after the fact of just like withholding information and keeping secrets.
Sure.
So I want to be able to be like, hey, like what's this? Are you good? Okay, cool. Like, do you have any questions kind of thing?
Isabel on our YouTube show says that right now her daughter's 11, but she's already thought about having the sex talk because kids are already, so much more advanced than probably we even were. I felt like we were way more advanced than the generation before.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, Isabel, would you though? Like, I'm sure at 11 you'd have to say something, right? If you found
Of course.
your kid with a sex toy, I feel like you'd have to be like, yo,
Yeah.
what's the deal? Okay, well, that went in a different direction than I was planning today. I was planning on talking about pooping in the public bathrooms, but we can talk about that next week.
I mean, might as well. I feel like might as well just go there at this point.
Because I want to hear about your therapy session. Jess
Oh,
had her. We just gotta let it digest for a second. We'll play a little commercial
I'm
and
uncomfortable.
let us all have a second to like kind of get ready for Jess's very first therapy ever as an adult. Your very first therapy session.
I'd say the last time I had one, I was like 20, and it was like barely. It was not what it needed to be.
Okay, well, let's talk about it next. Hang on. So
as far as like my first professional therapy session, because I've done sessions with like healers and like spiritual people or like people like Mystic Michaela, if you've heard her on the show, which I do consider a form of therapy. But I just have never sought out to find an actual therapist for myself.
and you're talking like talk therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And would that be occupational therapy? Is that what that is?
No, occupational therapy is like when you hurt yourself on the job. And right, occupational therapy
So
is
it's like rehab?
I just wasn't
not,
sure.
not like physical rehab.
I mean, but you're talking about you go to therapists, you talk about your problems,
Yeah,
they help you
yeah.
through them. That's talk therapy,
Yeah.
more or less. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that just because I have never professionally tried to deal with like anything that's happened in my life.
Yeah.
And when I was kind of going through sites and like explaining things that I've been through or things that have happened to me, I feel like I've just always been in survival mode.
What do you mean sites?
Well, like if I like trying to find therapists or like that when they're asking questions about like how was your childhood, like blah blah blah, like whatever, for them to like create some sort of like profile on you.
Yeah.
And some of them did that, and I didn't realize how many things have happened until actually needing to like write it all out.
You started to like check the boxes and you're like, oh damn, this is a lot. Yeah.
And I think for me, and I think if anyone was raised in like a similar way, I just don't like complaining. As far as like I feel like it's complaining, and I think it's also how I've been conditioned as well.
Is what your problems aren't that bad, get over it.
Or like suck it up, like you can get through this, like push through this. And
yeah.
and a part of me is I still believe in like mental toughness and like wanting to get myself through something and feeling like I can get myself through something. And I think because I've had to behave that way or like was brought up that way, that could possibly make you think that like you don't necessarily need help.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like
I mean, that is the stigma with therapy, right?
Well, yeah.
It's like, how bad do your problems really need to be before you like seek help, you know?
Yeah, or just even, yeah. And I think just like, I don't know, it was just kind of like, you just keep going, keep going. And I feel like there's a good balance of that. And then sometimes I think in my case, bad way to where I was just like, I'm fine, like I can do it myself. And I'm like, and yeah, this happened to me, but like, I'm not gonna let that be an excuse to make me feel this way or do this way or lack in this way. It was almost like competitive with myself and not wanting to let myself down. And I didn't realize that kind of was probably doing more damage than good in a sense.
Sure. Was there a moment where you're like, oh shit, I need to go to therapy? Like, was there a catalyst point where like,
I think I was just like, I was just feeling upset. And I also feel like for me in my role that I have been in my family, to my friends, or even to my parents, that relationship of like the parent-child relationship, the line has definitely been crossed where like they have come to me for comfort and like confiding in certain things, just because when really bad things have happened in our family unit, we've just kept it between the four of us. And so I think because of that, I've had my mom and my dad come to me separately and vent about things, vent about each other, or vent about the certain situation that we are going through. So I always felt like I had to be the protector and the strength and the supporter in a lot of those situations. And like my parents, if you don't know, my parents were divorced when I was young. And so they got married and they divorced and would get back together on and off again. And so from a very young point, at a very young age, I was that support, even though I was just a kid. And I feel like as of late, and I don't know if maybe it was like all of these emotions have always been there, and maybe because I'm getting married myself, it was just kind of like a gate that I had locked just like unlocked itself with like fears of wanting to be the best partner and best mother, not wanting to make the same mistakes that I have seen, not wanting to self-sabotage because of what's happened to me and ruin the relationship that I have. And just kind of like, I don't know, all at the same time, I was just like not happy, and I didn't like it. And I also feel like it's like if I'm trying to like uplift and like be positive and make people happy, I think it's hard to like acknowledge what else is going on sometimes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was just like I couldn't even really, it's not like a one certain situation happened. I think it was just like over a course of like days into weeks into like a long period of time, where it's just like when I wasn't doing what I needed to do and it was just like me time, I just like was not happy.
What about like, do you feel like the wedding stirring stuff up?
No, it's not.
Other than like the added pressure just adds to your life in general, which obviously if you only have so much bandwidth, now you add planning a wedding, it's always going to make things like
I think
tighter.
maybe because I feel like planning the wedding makes you have to think about family and family dynamics and like people you haven't spoken to and people that are coming and who are not invited and who you wish were. So I'm sure that probably stirred up things and made me acknowledge some things that I'm not too happy with and disappointed in how things turned out, where it was just like all at one time.
It was online or it was in person, the therapy session?
But it's over Zoom.
Okay.
So I had my first one last week, and I think with that too, and which made me so sad, is like how difficult that whole process was. And again, I think the reason why it's taken me so long too is like this is the first job to where I actually had access to that.
You went through our insurance?
But the thing is like, I mean,
so hard.
Going through insurance is hard, but like not having insurance is extremely expensive. So I've never been in the position to be able to afford that. And I think that also plays into like the certain times in my life where I was at my lowest, I was not in the place to have access to assistance at all.
It's my biggest qualm with the way the mental health system is set up. It's like the people that need it the most are probably the people that can't afford it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is expensive. I mean, if you're going, I'm paying out of pocket right now with no insurance because I'm doing like a specialty therapy, and it's $140 a session, which is like,
that's fucking crazy.
Insane. So I'm only doing it once every 3 weeks now because it is so expensive. My sister is, well, I'm going to cut that out of the actual. I know somebody that also has a therapist that's like $250 a session, which is like, that's in $250 a session is like unbelievable to pay for therapy. So like who can just drop if you were to go even once every other week, that's adding $500 a month to your budget.
There's no way.
Who has $500 a month that they can just like drop on therapy?
Yeah,
I understand it is a huge pain in the ass. And I'll say too, because I have a couple therapist friends, they hate taking insurance because they're going to get a way lower rate. It takes them forever to get paid. Insurance will find ways to deny claims all the time. And so for them, they're just eventually like, screw this. It's not even worth it. Right.
Yeah. So the whole
it's messed up. The whole system
experience was very difficult, or like trying to see who takes your insurance and who doesn't. And like those phone calls can feel like defeating sometimes.
Sure.
And yeah, I hated how difficult that whole process was, and it made me sad for people because I'm sure so many people just are like, fuck it then, like I don't want to do this anymore.
When I was like suicidal, I remember I finally found somebody that was able to see me. Because most people were like, you can take your insurance or whatever, and they were literally like, we can see you in 3 months. And I'm like, I don't know that I'm gonna fucking be here in 3 months. If this is how it's a very screwed up system. It needs a lot of work. We also need a lot more therapists too. So it's a very screwy system. How'd you feel though? Like doing the first session's always kind of just like getting to know you a little bit, but how'd you feel like it went?
Yeah, but I think it was nice. Just because I feel like I've never been able to talk to someone just full transparency without worrying about them in the conversation, like ever. And so just being able to fully like unleash and just things that I'm upset about and have never spoken about, even like publicly, not even like to anyone close to me, and having that outside perspective was so uplifting. And it was, and also it's just like, it's a different experience because I do advocate for mental health, and I want everyone to feel good about themselves, but I did not understand how much I was like, how hard I was being on myself, as far as like, you're fine, like you don't need, like you're gonna, like you can get through this yourself, like you've gotten through so much other shit, and like you need to be who you are. It's like I haven't even told my parents, to be honest, like that I was struggling, or that I was upset. I barely told any of my friends. The only one that knows obviously is Garage Boy, just because like I've never been that, like I'm obviously so open and so vulnerable, but like in that type of space I've never been able to like be that, because I feel like I'm always needing to
be like the strong one.
Yeah.
How do he feel about it?
He's like extremely supportive, and always like wonderful in that sense of like whatever I need and like whatever I need to do, and is so empathetic, and I think that's another thing too, which is like what made me sad is like, this is supposed to be like some of the happiest time in my life, and I did not want him to think that like he had anything to do with any of that, like just because all of this shit is like coming up, and like things that he's not even a part of, that have happened to me and that are not his fault. That was my biggest thing of like, you're not the reason that I'm feeling like this. I don't want you to think like I'm not happy at where we are and what we're doing and where we're going. It's more so for me of like, I have seen so much shit, and so much shit has happened to me that like, and a part of me, I think for him too, is like, I want to be able to like give him what he deserves. And I know that there's certain things that I have to work on, because I also know that I have the ability to fuck it up, and it has nothing to do with him.
Sure. I fucking love therapy, dude. I hope you like it as much as I do. I think it's like, have you even done therapy before?
No.
And it's funny because I started doing therapy in 2011. No, actually before that, 2008, I guess, my very first therapy session. And I was 26, 25. And there's so much stigma about it back then, man. It was like if you were going to a therapist, like you are fucked up, And then I think we all just kind of realized that we're all fucked up. And so I don't know where I'd be without therapy. It's been such an eye-opening experience. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But I would say one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life too. So I hope you'll stick with it. And it does take, I think people get discouraged because it's not like you just go to like 3 sessions. You're like, I'm fixed. fixed. I mean, I've been doing it for years, and the more I do it, the more I realize there are other layers that need to be uncovered in the whole thing, right? So,
yeah.
But I'm proud of you. I mean, I'm proud of you for like finally doing something because a lot of people won't. And you could have kept going down this path for 10, 15 more years feeling like shit.
Yeah.
When there's no reason to.
Yeah.
Life's short. And I think that too, there's something about, because I remember when I was like your age is where I started to kind of feel the same way. Jess is 30, I'm 40, where it was kind of just like life started to like, there's so much shit I hadn't dealt with where it was just like, and all of a sudden I felt my marriage wasn't going right, but like, I didn't really want to rock the boat with it because I think things were okay. And like, but I didn't really want to like shake. And there were so many things from like, it was just so many things I hadn't dealt with. And it started, I think you just get to a point where you're like, this is heavy.
Well, that, and I also I don't want to continue cycles that I've seen, and I recognize them and I know what they are. So like not only within my relationship, but also with parenting, I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to not like the generational trauma is real. And I feel like, especially if you are the person in the family, if you are the sibling, if you are the friend that's always needed to be the caretaker and the caregiver, like it's okay to not always need to play that role all the time.
Sure.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I challenge you to find another podcast that plays a game about dildos and also has a very serious talk about therapy. It doesn't exist. And if it does, let me know because I want to listen to that shit. Thank you for being here for 125 episodes. Some of y'all been here for every single episode. So 125 times you come here. Thank you for that. If this is your first time checking it out.
That's a lot.
You know what you're here for. Well, I mean, do the math on it. So it's our average episode is about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
30 times 125 is 3,750 minutes divided by 60 minutes. So you spent 62.5 hours listening to Kramer and Jess Uncensored. A lot. All right. Connect with us. We want to say hi. Jess, where we find you?
Just do it. JESSDUITT on IG. And you can find my wedding subscription on there too.
Hassan, our producer.
You can follow me at StanWillie2.
And I'm that guy Kramer. Got a podcast called Certified Mama's Boy, which is on hiatus this week. If you're like, where did it go? We'll be back next week. All right. We love you. Thanks for being a part of this little family we've built. See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya. Bye, YouTube. Love you. Mwah.